In the meantime, as I mentioned, it's going to be an evening full of thought-provoking conversation. That's what I'm promising the listeners this evening.
Is that because Ross is producing tonight? Then,
it's because you've worn that jumper. That's a jumper of a smart man this evening. I like it.
I like it. Myself now.
I like it. No, I like it. I like it. It's very. It's just a polo neck, so it's plain, but it's just stylish. You know.
Thank you.
You know, you're a classy man.
Well, thank you very much.
And that's what I'm expecting.
I thought you were
from
going to
you.
say I'm a plain man, but
and that's what I'm expecting from you this evening. Our listeners know you well, so they know I'm absolutely right about this because we're going to get into some serious topics a little bit later on this evening, like Marcus Rashford and being a scapegoat. We'll also talk, I think, a little bit now actually about Vinicius Jr, who's been named FIFA's best men's player of the year. Now, this is after, of course, Real Madrid and the 24-year-old himself boycotted the recent Ballon d'Or ceremony, which, of course, Manchester City's Rodri won. He has been in Doha this evening to pick up his award from FIFA. However, he obviously knew he was winning this one in advance. Listen, he's an absolutely...
Wrong, by the way, to not turn up.
I thought it wasn't even about him personally. I think Real Madrid as a football club is a huge institution, the biggest of them all, really, when it comes to football clubs. And I'd always seen them as quite a classy institution. I think they really let themselves down.
Do they wear roll necks as well, then? Is that what you're saying?
Well, usually it's
probably not in Madrid.
It's just a silk tie here or there when it comes to Real Madrid and a smart suit. But, you know, they let themselves down. I think they allowed him to I think a lot of fans were put out by it, and they put their anger towards him.
Yeah.
And I actually think they put him in a position that he didn't need to be in.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think they should have respected the award, which they clearly would have done had he won it. And so I think it was really, really bad taste to not go up, not go to the event, and not let him go to the event either.
Couldn't agree more. I think it lacks class. It does put him in a position where, you know, it's all about him rather than about the respect for the award. I mean, that's Florentino Perez for you. But by the way, I do think he should have won. And you know what? I'm almost going to contradict myself here. I don't necessarily think it should be about off the field. If you're the best player, it's about on the field. But I think it was so tight, and what he had, the great season that he did have. I think the class that he had with all the racism shout at him, I think as good as he was on the field, he was just as good off the field. And as much as I think Rodri is an amazing player, and we're seeing that now with Manchester City, with him being out of the side, and we can talk about more about City later, it's not just about Rodri, but that's a big piece of the jigsaw that's gone. For me, Vinny Jr., how good he was last season, but also what he's had to deal with on a cultural level in Spain. I think he dealt with that with a lot of class. And I think he, you know, the Ballon d'Or should have doffed their cap towards that, because I think it was that tight on the pitch.
Do you think that matters? I think a lot of people would say, look, it's for the player who was the best player in the world.
And that's why I said it might sound like I'm contradicting myself, because in a way it should be about on the pitch, but I think it was so tight on the pitch, you're looking for small margins. In a way, I love the fact, having been a defender myself, that it wasn't just a forward player all the time, and you got someone who clearly is that good in his position, which is not the sexiest position in the world, although it's becoming, because you look at the amount of £100 million being spent on players in that position. It shows in the modern game how important it is to protect the back four, to actually, you know, pass through the lines, and Rodri became not just doing those two things, but the scorer of very important goals. So I don't think that was a bad decision. I just think for Vinny Jr., what he represents on and off the pitch, because it was that close on the pitch, I think from a societal point of view, he should have got it.
It is a sad thing to have to weigh on the shoulders of any young man. He's 24 years old. We've seen him in tears on the pitch, and the racist abuse that he's faced from fans on multiple occasions out in Spanish football. But he could have a huge effect on the society, the culture of Spanish football to hopefully stop this kind of thing happening in the future.
On Spanish society.
Well, there's already been several of these fans have already been given prison sentences. So it does show you that society is taking it seriously when it happens, because there have been real ramifications, probably more than what we've seen here in this country. And so you don't want to maybe slate Spanish society, because at least if these things happen, they show at least they are doing something about it. Exactly. But you are right. I know the point that you're making in terms of society as a whole, in terms of people's awareness of it, and actually thinking about whether these are the right things to say and do when they're inside a football ground. Hopefully it does have a big effect in that area.
So what I'm saying is it wasn't the wrong decision to give it to Rodri. I just personally would have given it to Vinny Jr. and I'm really pleased for him that he's got this FIFA voted Men's Player of the Year.
There is a reason for Manchester United to celebrate tonight, by the
I know.
way.
Have you come off cloud nine?
No, not just the derby. I mean, that's
okay.
just beating Man City is what we do anyway. You know, it's becoming
Do you know
every
what
day.
you kinda do,
FA Cup final. You know, now it's this. You know, against all odds.
Enjoy it, mate.
Even
Enjoy
when
it.
we were, I mean, we're pretty bad now, but even when we were bad, you know, really, really bad. Our results against Man City weren't too bad. You know, the derby did
What does
bring
that tell
something.
you about United and the players?
Oh, don't get me started. Since Ten Hag's gone, you know, just the amount of players suddenly have found an extra spring in their step is embarrassing. But I won't go into it
But
now.
even in those one-off games when Ten Hag was in charge,
Yeah,
you know, look, we
exactly.
won't go into it
exactly,
now, but
exactly.
we
yeah,
can
when
do.
the cameras are watching, when the fans really care, suddenly
the big
they
game,
want to
yeah.
play exactly. But Alejandro Garnacho, not in the squad at the weekend against Manchester City. We'll talk about Ruben Amorim and what he's doing a little bit later on. But he has won the 2024 FIFA Puskas Award for the goal of the year. That spectacular overhead kick against Everton, recognised as the best goal of the year. So congratulations to him and all the United fans, of course. Was it the best goal for you?
Not for me.
No?
Not for me. Although it was pretty good.
we watched the list earlier.
Do you know what? We only
It's
watched the
ridiculous.
list about 20 minutes ago, and I can't remember which one of these goals for me was my number one now. But what I would say is Walter Bow
for Lannis was the chest. He chested it on the edge of the box.
Yep.
And he contorted his body and he did an overhead kick with his left foot, lobbed the goalkeeper. It's unbelievable.
Right, that
goal.
was the one that for me is the most comparable to Garnacho, and Garnacho was unbelievable. You know, it was Wayne Rooney type, that sort of goal. But to flick it up and then do that was, for me, just that little bit better. Go on, talk me through the other two.
Well, we saw Kudus of West Ham United. We did have Mohamed Kudus nominated for a goal against Freiburg in the Europa League, where he run past about 5 players and slotted it into the bottom corner.
So
your former team?
What surprised me was that I think that was the only one where there was dribbling through players and then put it in the goal. And for me, I mean, it's not that anyone can hit a free kick from 30 yards or a volley from 35, but it can be done, and 1 out of 30 times. For me, the best type of goal there is a dribbling goal. And I think that's why Lionel Messi, for me, was, along with Diego Maradona, the two greatest players of the history of football, in my personal opinion, because he does something that we all wanted to do from when we were kids. Pick up the ball, run past 4 players and just pass it into the net. And that's basically what he did. Yeah. But I probably still wouldn't have given it to him. Yeah,
Yassine Benzia for Algeria scored a goal where he's just had his back to goal, almost in the 6-yard box, flicked it up on his right foot, and then volleyed it over his shoulder from close proximity, but into the roof of the net with his left foot. Fantastic goal. Yeah,
the awareness and the almost the way he, a bit like a contortionist, he sort of flicked the ball up, turned, and yet with his back to goal, still knew where the goal was, and the technique was perfect, the timing was perfect. Yes, he was a little bit close to goal, but that was still incredible.
And a special mention for Dennis Omedi of Kitara, who was playing in the Ugandan Premier League, who scored an incredible Rabona from just at an angle just on the edge of the box, but honestly rifled it into the top of the net, and it was just ridiculous technique, and rightly nominated for the Puskas Award. So make sure you check them out. They're all there on YouTube.
Walter Bow, I think, was my one.
The Lannis one, you can just see the disbelief on everyone in the stadium, which is what these goals are really all about, including Garnacho's at Goodison Park, mainly the Everton fans, but he's well-deserved winner as well. So congratulations to Alejandro Garnacho and to Aitana Bonmati, who won the FIFA Women's Best Player, and of course Vinicius Jr, who we mentioned already.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, do you think he was given that because it was the Premier League and the prestige of everything? You know, some of the other goals were in much smaller leagues and
possibly
didn't get the publicity for it.
It's the power of Manchester United, mate. It's just the power of the badge. Don't worry about that.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.